Welcome to the presentation, Scientific Animations Without Borders, SAWBO Android app regarding our March 30th, 2024 release of our Android app. Just to give you a bit of a background, I'll be talking about our app today. However, as with many of these presentations, I'll just give a real brief outline about SAWBO. If you want to learn more about SAWBO, please go to some of our other videos where we have a more in-depth discussion and explanation, but I'll just give a brief background and then I'll jump into the actual presentation itself. One of the big questions around that SAWBO has, or the program has, we're really focused on is how can we scale research for developed innovations to numerous people in a world with 7,200 languages. So how can we take research for development innovations that come from research programs that oftentimes end up in academic journals, but make them readily available to people of all literacy levels and people that speak diverse languages? So how do we get them in a format that they understand? And then how do we get it in a format that becomes very accessible? And how do we make that content very accessible and very cost effective in terms of getting into people's hands? So this is sort of our broad question. And SAWBO is really an academic exploration of this space, coupled with pragmatically trying to address this concern, but at the same time, asking fundamental questions about how do we achieve this goal. So I'll just briefly introduce our leadership team, Dr. Julia Bejo Bravo, Dr. John Medendorp, and myself, Barry Robert Pittendry. Our fourth member, Susanna Palaska, is not on this figure on this slide, but in updated talks, we will have her picture and information on that slide as well. So this is our core leadership team, but of course we have a much larger team that stands behind this program. So just to give you a little bit of background about SAWBO, it's a systems approach for extension. So if we think about classic extension as almost being artisanal. So if if I go out and I make a particular extension materials and then I go out and I work with that target group, but a whole group of other people that are in extension do the same thing. They make their own content and then they deploy it. And even if I have at an institution, we're making our own content and when we deploy it, that's absolutely fantastic. But it doesn't allow us to take advantage of other people's materials and other people's extension materials in a way that allows us to easily scale content. So we're exploring a space of working with global experts to take research for development innovations from around the planet, work with numerous different experts, and put that content on a given topic into a format that pretty much everybody's going to understand. So that is people of diverse literacy levels, people that speak diverse languages. So we put it in two-dimensional and three-dimensional animations where it's very visual to understand what is being displayed or presented around that research for development innovation. And then once that content is made and the experts vet it and they sign off on it, then we start working with language experts to put it into localized languages such that we can get it in numerous languages and make it as highly accessible as possible. Of course, we work with cultural experts, linguistic experts, and community groups around making sure things are culturally appropriate or modified for variants that are culturally appropriate. All this content then ends up, so we have a production system of continually working with groups, take research for development innovations, get it into this format, it gets peer reviewed, it gets vetted, it goes through a process where it's almost like an academic publication in that sense, where it goes through a review process to the point that we have something that could be considered fairly accurate and it's state of the art for that particular area of the scientific community. And then that content goes into a database or a system where others can take those materials and run with them. So we have a core area library that includes agriculture, health, gender, climate change, peace building, etc. And these are areas where people can take the materials on the given topic, on the given language, and then they can download it and disseminate it and use it in whatever way they see fit. So, and then we evaluate this in order to make production more effective, add more materials to this system, and make dissemination more easily easily viable. So in other words, reduce costs, increase accessibility, understand what are the best practices. So it's a looping system of not only creating greater sets of materials that can be deployed, but a greater understanding in a global context how organizations can take that content and can scale it. So we co-learn with other groups so that when we learn and understand how their dissemination strategies have worked or not worked, those recommendations can be taken to the global community that is involved with extension, and then they can use that to better guide what they're going to do next. So it's a system of not only production of content, but understanding how content can be used, and then from that driving a potentially improved system. So one of the latest tools that we've released, and of course, with this type of presentation, as I'm recording it, I realize it'll become dated over time, but we're at least giving information on what we're doing at this point. The SAWBO Android app, the beta version of it, we just released in March 30th of 2024, and it is a system that allows people to easily access content. It's freely available, and it makes it very easy for others to download our materials onto their phone, have them available on their phone, what the specific materials that they need, that's available on their phone to use on or offline, for sharing through online methodologies, or if they happen to be out in a village or in a remote area and they want to use it for extension materials locally, they can either turn their phone into a little video viewing setup, or they can transfer to local cell phones using Bluetooth. So it's an intermediary step that allows extensionists, and I mean extensionists in a very broad terms. That can be people that are from very different backgrounds that are coming in and helping transfer knowledge. But it allows them to easily have that materials that they need, the appropriate materials, and then get it up to people when and where they see fit, and easily transfer it to individuals, either by allowing them to view it or transferring it to others if they have devices that are appropriate. So to think about what we're doing broadly speaking is, let's think about, on the left-hand side, we have this global research community. And then on the other side, we have people that speak diverse languages, have diverse literacy levels, come from very different cultural backgrounds, may live in rural areas, may not have easy access to this knowledge that sits in the academic environment. So our focus at SAWBO is to take this research for development knowledge that oftentimes will go into academic journals or into gray literature, and put it into a format that's understandable by people of very, very diverse backgrounds, diverse literacy levels, diverse languages, diverse cultures. So we take these research for development innovations and we place it into an understandable format, both from a visual perspective, and then get it into localized languages so it's localized from an auditory perspective. And I think gold standard is something that we really strive towards. That content goes through a peer review process to make sure what we're putting in the animation itself is vetted by experts in the community to make sure it's accurate. And one of the nice things about animations is, as you're moving into different places, or as things change over time, that state of art may change, or the state of art may be very different in different areas. So we can modify that for so it may be culturally appropriate in one place, or culturally changes that make it culturally appropriate in another place, or there may be technical differences of how something's done in different places. Good example, you maybe how you row plant in one country may be different than in another country because of certain conditions. So we can modify those easily around that. The catch is we can get that and get it to format and get it onto this bridge where we're bridging the divide between researchers that are typically publishing, putting things in gray literature, and bridging that information over to those people that need it the most. So that is the first part of the bridge. But the second part of the bridge is really, how can we make that content easily accessible to those that want to deploy it or use it? So how can they get onto a device that they have readily available, the right topic, in the right language, in the right accent, for example, so that they can use the content on the right topic at the right time and the right place with whoever they're working with. So they should be able to have something that's readily available so that when they're out working with groups of people, that are their focus audience, that they can easily say, aha, I have this particular animation on this topic. This is the right language, it's the right accent. I can pull it up, I can share it with them, or I can show it to them on my phone. And the available tool at the current moment are Android phones. In many parts of the world, at least extension individuals or people that might be performing extension oftentimes will have access to these type of devices. So we want to make sure that that content, they can easily access it and then easily share it with other people. So it's not only about content creation to bridge this divide, it's about high degree of accessibility so that it can be easily deployed. So SAWBO itself has well over 150 animations. The number is going to continue to go up, but we take these research for development innovations, we work with experts in these topic areas, and we place them into a format that's understandable by people of diverse languages and diverse literacy levels. And we put this content and continually put this content in more languages. Last count, we had well over 300 languages and dialects. This number continues to go up. So research that we have done, because we're a research program, has shown that people can and do learn from these animations, and they are willing to adopt innovations placed into this format. So we have numerous studies, a lot of it led by Dr. Julia Bejo Bravo, that has been really focused on, are they willing to learn? Yes. Do they learn? Yes. Does it lead to adoption in the right place in the right time? Yes. Do people innovate from these? Yes. And and can we scale this content? And the answer was yes as well too. So, but content creation is that beginning. Are we people willing to learn from it? And are they willing to innovate? Are they willing to adopt based on the knowledge they obtain? The answer is yes, but how do we make this really, really easily accessible to others? So that's, is it accessible? Is it convenient? So it's about reducing costs and increasing accessibility. So it is, you need to make it both inexpensive for people to get the content and make it really convenient for them to make a decision on when and where they're going to deploy it. It should be at the tip of their fingers for those that are extensionists. So this is the point of the SAWBO app, is really to make it easily accessible for those that will perform extension in the field, that may be often in rural areas in the global south. And the app itself is available for Google Play, it's available on Google Play, and you can simply search SAWBO in Google Play or SAWBO, and then you can download that onto your phone. It's for Android 10 and above operating system. There are operating systems 10 and above for Androids, and the app itself allows one to access our library of materials. So that library is continually being added to. So as I mentioned before, we have about 150 to 200 different animations in numerous languages. We're continuing to add it to the database, and as new animations come up, new language variants, we're just going to continue to add to that database. But once a new animation is finalized, it can be uploaded in the database and accessed anywhere in the world and deployed from the app within minutes. So when we finish an animation on topic X or language X, we put it in that database. Somebody can be in a rural area in country X and download that video and have it on their phone within minutes. And they could literally turn around and deploy it immediately afterwards. So being able to be ultimately in emergency situations where this becomes useful is if there's a crisis in a particular area, when you need to get knowledge out to people, we could be able to get it out to large numbers of people very quickly without delay. So it can be right into people's hands very, very, very quickly. Additionally, when downloading the phone, you can choose to not provide us with any data on when and where you're using that material. You have the right to do that, and you can choose that option. However, if individuals choose to let us know when and where you're downloading the app or showing it, using it, etc., it helps us to document where partners are using these materials and the impact that's happening. So you have every capacity, and a user has any capacity to make those decisions. We support whatever decision people make. However, we appreciate when people allow us to understand when and where content is being used. We don't keep track of any personal data, but we can have an idea of where a video is being viewed or downloaded. That helps just to show where impact has occurred. So we appreciate when people are open to allowing us to have that information. So when one is in the app, one can go to the video library. So you click on the button of video library up here in the corner. And when you're online, it'll now give you access to all of our animations that sit in the database. And that's just going to keep growing. We're going to keep adding more to it. And we have a couple thousand, I think we're about 2,000 videos at the current moment, little over. In our overall online database, many of these are being added into the database for the app, and more will be added as more are created and more language variants are created. But one of the fundamental things is it's not going to be possible for somebody to scroll through 2,000 videos, or how many thousands of videos ultimately will sit in the database. One has to be able to screen for them, to go through and choose what circumstance is going to be useful for that individual to download the videos that are going to be useful for them when they're going to go out in the field or when they're out in the field. So we have ability to select through that list, so we can screen through that. The user can screen through it through the category function, a language function, and a country function. So they can screen using all three of these to get down to the group of videos or video that they want, and that they can download or download multiple videos onto their phone and use the ones that are most appropriate to them. So when you go into the actual app itself, you can choose country. You click on country and this pop-up menu comes up. So you can choose whatever language you're in. That you can scroll way down, and we'll continue to add, country. You can click on this and the country will pop up, and you can scroll down and find out whichever country you want. And that we'll continue to add to that as time goes on. And we have a significant number of countries that goes well beyond what's shown here. You can scroll down and find the country of interest. You can click on one country or multiple countries, and then you push go, and it'll bring the list down to whatever's available in that given country. You can then also check off language. So if you're going to a given country and they have 70 different languages, you can now choose the language that you want, click that, and then it'll narrow that down, and you can go by category as well. You can use one of these or any combination that you want. So it provides you with a lot of flexibility to determine what you want. So you want something in agriculture, in a particular language with a particular accent. So you may find that on a particular topic for a particular country, we don't have that accent variant, but you can go back and say, well, you have the same language for a neighboring country. I'll download that and you'll use that. So by using this search function, using these three categories, you can narrow down to the video or videos that make sense for you, that are readily available. And then these can be downloaded on the device, and then they can be shared in multiple paths. So let's say we go to the page and we find a video that we're of interest here, and this is post-harvest loss prevention. It's a paddy dryer animation showing you how to dry rice. And you're down to, you said, okay, I want the one in English from you with the accent from the United States. And then I'm going to download that. So I'm going to push the button download, and then the video will download. And you'll see a little bar down here that will go through the download event. And then that will sit on your phone. And so we go over to the screen of my videos, and this video has been downloaded. Now you can download one, or you can download numerous videos that sit on the phone. So you can load your phone up with multiple videos that are of use to you. And then those videos sit on your phone, and they can be used anytime you want. So if I'm out in the village, I'm offline, I'm away from the internet, I can play that on my phone, or I can transfer it to somebody else's phone using Bluetooth. Or if I'm online, I can share it with a group of people in WhatsApp groups. So I can easily, so let's say I'm sitting in my office, I want to share with my WhatsApp groups, I can download the video and just dump that into the WhatsApp groups and share it with other folks. So it allows you multiple mechanisms of how to share the videos. So for example, this is, let's say, and this shows downloading here, but if once you've downloaded, it'll say downloaded, and then I will choose to say I'm going to share this. So I push the button share here, and it takes me over. And in this case, I've chosen WhatsApp. So the WhatsApp groups come up, and then I decide to share with somebody by WhatsApp, and then the video shows up on their phone at the other end. Many of these videos, we're trying to put the title at the beginning of them, and for some of these, as we move forward, you'll also have the name of the country and the language variant. So then that way it's easy as you're sharing to know which video you're sharing. Because if you start sharing a lot of them, you need to be able to distinguish between them. So WhatsApp is one mechanism of sharing, but I could have clicked share, and I could have brought up a Bluetooth. I could have shared by Bluetooth. I could have attached to an email. I could have chosen from multiple other programs to share this content. So I could share it offline by Bluetooth. I could go online and share it through multiple mechanisms. However, I might be out in the field, and that person, that recipient, doesn't have any type of device. So they have no electronic device. So how do I help share with them? Well, the other option is you can turn your cell phone into a small, essentially, movie theater. So you can play the video straight up like it is. You can get it to go more full-size screen here, and then, or you can flip the phone to the side, and then it'll play. Now, each time you move it around, it'll actually reset to the beginning of the video. And so once you start playing it, don't try to move around the phone. This is a feature that we're trying to fix, but it's not trivial to deal with. So an updated versions of this, we may not have the same issue, but at least for now, once you start showing that, you keep the phone in the same position so it plays through the whole video. So you can actually play this multiple times for people. You can have a couple people gather around the phone and they can watch it. So the end user, the end target individual that you want to get this knowledge to doesn't necessarily have to have a phone. But I could be out in a field and say, okay, I've downloaded the video on the topic we want in their local language with their local accent. And then it's sitting on my phone. I get out to the field, and then I can literally just pull that up from my videos uh, section of the app, and then I can play it for people so that then they can watch it. And if there are people that have devices there, I can Bluetooth it to their phone. They don't necessarily have to have an Android. They just have to have a video capable phone that will also be Bluetooth capable and can run MP4 videos. Now, one of the concerns I think many will have is, how am I going to download this when I'm in the field, right? So this is a concern. I'll be very blunt about it. We always suggest that people download things near Wi-Fi, but we've done extensive testing where we go out into the field, and we've been in remote areas to do downloads of videos. So this is just one example. When we're driving between Lusaka and a smaller center in Zambia, and we're just going across a river, and it's a river that is on the border between Mozambique and Zambia. And the bandwidth was fine. It wasn't great. But we were able to, I was able to download, and this is data that's collected of the downloads that I did, because I allowed myself to be the downloads to be visible on our back end of our app. And I was able to download 6 videos in a very short period of time. And I recorded how long it took for them to be downloaded. So we're driving through this region, and it took about 60 to 90 seconds to download when the network was available. So as we're going down the road here before we cross the river, the network wasn't bad. So we're able to download 2 videos very quickly. And then I waited for a little while, and I downloaded another one. And as we were going up the hill here, I started to download, and the app just literally waited until we got to the right spot, and then it downloaded the video. And then we were kind of a little bit out of cell phone range again here. So I asked the app to download again, and we got to this spot, and we had good coverage, and I downloaded it, and then I turned around and downloaded another video. So you should be able to, generally speaking, in rural areas, if you have some cell phone coverage, and it depends on the network, of course, there's a good chance you'll be able to download videos in real time. where, you know, obviously where you have at least some network, right? And you may have to move around to find reasonable enough network to download it. Again, we strongly suggest that people download where they're near Wi-Fi, but we have been able to demonstrate that when you're in rural areas, if you're at the right spot, you should be able to download these videos as well. And it shouldn't take that long. So we've released what we call the beta version of the app, and basically what that means is we've been testing this for quite a few years in the field, but we feel comfortable enough to share it with the world. And but we're well aware that if you find glitches or problems, we're very open to updating and making those repairs or updates, and we'll incorporate those updates as they come in. So additionally, as new content is available, it'll be uploaded and available to all. So if we don't have a specific topic area or content right today, we may have that moving forward. So it behooves you to keep checking as time goes forward. And if there's a particular language variant or accent we don't have, please contact us. We're very open to adding those to our pool of materials. So you can go to Google Play, type in SAWBO, you can download and install on your device. And one of the other features that we have in this too, and this is as we work and collaborate with groups. So sometimes these groups would like to know how their team members are using content, and they need to be able to report back to an entity or an organization about how they've used materials. So we can help your group on that. Your members would have to allow for recording of the use of the content, and that we don't keep track of any personal data, phone numbers, emails, any of that type of stuff in the back end of the app. But what we do, if they choose that, and then the second thing is we can set up in the back end of the app your organization's name. So you could be organization X, and we put in organization X. And then your members can go in and choose amongst a list of organizations. So let's say we set up Barry's group. So and your organization is part of Barry's group. You would go in and each one of them would check this box. And then as they download or use videos, we can actually pull together reports for your program that you can take back to your funders about how you've used these materials, when and where, and we can provide nice maps to show where content has been used. It's not available in all places. It's a certain set of places, and if you're interested, you can contact us about that. And so again, you'd have to contact us about giving your group's name. We set it up in the back end of the app. Then you'd go into your app and you would find that group, select for it. Members of your group would select for it on their apps and go from there. This is completely voluntary. There's no requests from our end that people do this, but it's something that we can do to help support your teams and groups as you're using the materials moving forward. So to step back again, SAWBO for the last decade or more, since at least 2011, we've been taking research for development innovations and putting it into a format that's understandable by people of diverse languages, literacy levels, across diverse cultures, making it visually and auditorially understandable to people. So again, putting it into the local languages, making the visuals very understandable. And now this next wave is how do we make it very easily accessible for those that want to deploy and use that content so they can get that content, the right topic, the right time, the right place, with available tools. And in this case, it's specifically for Android phones. So I'd just like to thank you very much. And please be on the lookout for other videos that we will be uploading on this website. And thank you very much.